welcome.
Hi guys, all right, I was going to say happy Friday, but it is called Good Friday.
Yeah,
Even though a sad thing happens. Oh, but we won't give too many spoilers.
Yeah. So, what's in our bag today?
Oh, what have we
Right.
got? What do we need, Jerry?
You need your pipe cleaner, and then you need to turn it into a cross, like I have here.
I like the sudden change of colours of pipe cleaner there.
Yeah, I did it beforehand just to save time. And then we always need our Jesus. We need our cloth. And I've got a little cup here, which is going to be something later on, you'll see.
Yeah, so grab a paper cup or something similar.
Or a little box or a little Tupperware.
Yeah, something similar. Anything you can find. Have a little root around in the house. See what you can get.
Right, so let's hear the story, please.
So the story again is from our Bible. This is a different Bible to what we read from yesterday. And we will actually put the links below to these Bibles. They're really cool if you want to buy one for yourself. But when Jesus and his friends had finished their goodbye meal, they walked to a garden to pray. That's where Jesus' enemies found him. The men had torches and clubs and sticks, and they were very frightening. And right in front was Judas, who had been one of Jesus' friends. Can you imagine what he did? Can you remember what he did yesterday with the coin?
Betray Jesus.
Yeah, that wasn't the best thing to do to a friend. Hopefully, again, you don't do that. But Judas crept up to Jesus. He kissed him on the cheek. And he said, "This is the man you want. Arrest him." Jesus looked very sad. In fact, he probably looks quite happy, our Jesus at the moment, but he was very sad at this time. And Jesus' friends were very scared. Most of them ran away, but not Peter. He pulled out a sword and he started waving it in front of the men. "Put your sword away," said Jesus. "This is not the time for fighting. I have to go with them because God wants me to." So they grabbed Jesus and they dragged him before the religious leaders, the ones who were jealous of him. His trial took all night. Can you imagine how tiring that must have been? It's making me yawn just thinking about it.
Yeah.
"He says he will destroy our temple," said one man. "He says he is a king," said another. "He's a troublemaker," said one and all. None of this was true, of course, but it didn't matter because the leaders had already made up their minds. Jesus was different from them, and Jesus wouldn't do what they said, so Jesus had to die. They beat Jesus and hit him hard. Then they took away all of his clothes and put an old robe around his shoulders. They put a crown made of thorns on his head. And while the blood ran down his forehead, they called him names and made fun of him. "So you think you're a king?" they laughed. "Well, look at you now." Jesus never said a word. His body hurt and his heart was breaking, but still he never said a word. They took a cross next, made of heavy wood, and they laid it on his back. "Move along," they shouted, and they led him through the city. Some people cried when they saw him, others cheered, but all of them followed as he lugged this heavy cross through the city gates and up a nearby hill. Can you imagine how heavy that must have been to carry?
I can't imagine.
I'd need some help. Actually, Jesus did have some help because he really struggled.
Yeah.
Remember, he'd been beaten up and he wasn't well, and he still had to carry this heavy cross, so he needed some help. So he got some help. When they got to the top, they laid Jesus on the cross and they nailed him to it, and it hurt so much. Then they raised the cross so that everyone could see, and they left him there to die. A thief hanging next to him was afraid, but Jesus talked to him and helped him to feel better. Jesus' mother was there too, standing in the crowd, so Jesus called to one of his friends, "Take care of her, will you, for me? She's your mother now." But most of the faces in the crowd were not so kind. "You saved other people," someone laughed, "so why can't you save yourself?" Well, Jesus knew why. It wasn't because his enemies had won, it was because God wanted him there to take away all the bad things anyone had ever done. Soon the sky grew dark and the earth shook, and it was like God's own heart was breaking. And then it happened. "It's done," Jesus whispered, and in the sadness and the dark, he died. And then after he died, they took him off the cross. They took the cross down. They laid his body on the ground and wrapped it in cloth. And once they had done that, they carried his body wrapped in the cloth to a nearby tomb. They put him in the tomb and they rolled a stone over the front. And in the distance they could see the cross that he had died on. And that's where our story ends. It might be called Good Friday, but it's actually a very sad day because their leader, their friend, had died and they didn't know what was going on. But you'll have to join us in the next few days to see what happens. So we're going to leave Jesus in our tomb for the next few days. Maybe you want to put that in the bag, maybe fold the bag over with the cross on the outside over the next few days as we think about this sad time, just like Jerry's done. And it's a really helpful time to think about all the things that Jesus said, all the things that we've done wrong, that maybe we deserve to be punished for. And the fact that that's why it was Good Friday, because Jesus was actually helping us and taking our punishment in our place. So think about all those bad things that you've done, and maybe it's a time to turn around and say sorry to God. Maybe that sorry prayer that you wrote on the back of your cup yesterday, on the back of your cup picture, maybe you want to pray that prayer now and say sorry to God for all the wrong things you've done. And then join us over the next few days to see what happens next.
So we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a much shorter video, but we'll see you tomorrow and we'll say a prayer together then.
Great. We'll see you tomorrow, guys.
Bye.